I will be analyzing 3 news articles that cover this story: Fox News, Daily Mail, and The Root. Let's set the context. Lil Nas X, a rapper from Atlanta, Georgia, released a now hit song called Old Town Road. The song is labeled as country rap and features the lyrics. In tribute to the rapper and his song, Wrangler, an American clothing manufacturer famous for their cowboy image, decided to partner with him. As it is country rap, traditional country fans started to get upset fast about this collaboration, believing that it was tainting their reputation. This story is considered newsworthy because of a media theory called news values. These were established by Galting and Rouge in 1965 and are used to decide how much importance a media source should give to a story. Wrangler being boycotted covers a couple of the news values. This makes sense with the theory as it wasn't a huge subject globally. The first article I will be covering comes from Fox News. On the political spectrum, Fox is placed on the right side. This means that they look at stories with a conservative perspective. This article has the title "Wrangler Fans Slammed for Brand Boycott Over Lil Nas X Collaboration." The term used generates a curiosity in the audience as it has a clear negative sentiment. The author makes use of alliteration of the letter B. This results in a harsh and jarring sound which once again brings the reader's attention towards the negativity of the article. This is a clickbaiting title as the article itself only mentions the word boycott twice in the title and the article combined. The rest of the mentions are from tweets or comments of fans. It was written by J9 Puhak, a lifestyle editor who used to work at Targum Publishing, a left center-winged company. In order to check how genuine the article truly is, I will be using a fact-checking tool called Trust Servista. It gives you percentages on the context setting, the overall sentiment, and the clickbait probability. Fox News has a good context setting for this article. They covered the who's, what's, when's, etc. only in the first paragraph and gave smaller details afterwards. This shows that they don't want to mislead the readers because they set the basics of the story straight from the beginning. Although Fox starts off with a negative sentiment, only after 3 harsh comments, they move on to the positive perspective of the story. They use 5 positive comments. They have a 50% overall positive sentiment. This, however, may only be because the algorithm in Trust Servista can't pick out what the author wrote versus what they quoted from fans. As I mentioned before, there is some clickbait, however only 5%, which was probably from the title. Moving on, I will now analyze the news article from The Root. It is a left-wing news outlet. This means that they look at things with the liberal perspective. I would like to mention that the article I am using is in fact a blog and is meant to be opinionated and subjective. As you can see, the title of this article is "Crusty Country Music Fans Want to Boycott Wrangler Jeans for Partnering with Lil Nas X." From the moment you enter this article, these terms are thrown at you. Clearly, there is going to be a negative sentiment towards the people boycotting Wrangler. Once again, this elicits curiosity, rendering it as clickbait. This article has a very high probability, which means that it isn't reliable or valid if you want actual news. As shown by Trust Servista, the author doesn't provide much context as to why people are boycotting Wrangler or when they started. There are no dates and barely anything factual that relates to the story itself. This article was written by Aaliyah Ewing. Previously, she has worked for quite left-wing companies such as Black Enterprise. Most of her previous works are with the perspective of an African American. There is a 50% negative sentiment which is directed towards the people boycotting Wrangler. An example of this is seen when the author, right after giving some context, calls them saddle-bagged skin tags. This is harsh and informal language, making the article extremely subjective. However, again, this is meant to be an opinion as it is a blog. For my last source, I will be analyzing the Daily Mail. This is another right-wing media outlet, just like Fox News. However, the overall content quality report from Trust Servista is much lower. Daily Mail has been known to report some fake news and contain propaganda. Even though Fox News and the Daily Mail are similar in the sense that they both have a conservative point of view, Daily Mail's content quality is much lower than Fox's. This could just be because of the authors having different values or opinions on the story itself. The use of the term furious seems like a bit of a stretch because the customers that are boycotting Wrangler are more disappointed than furious. This can be proven by some of the comments such as these. Carly Stern is the writer of this article. She has previously worked for a daily newspaper in New Zealand. I used a website called Media Bias Fact Check in order to check what the political standing of New Zealand Herald was. This outlet is on the center of the political spectrum, meaning that they report highly factual information which is mostly objective. She has also worked for a magazine called Glamour, which has a left-center bias with high factual reporting. There is a decent amount of context written in the article. There are bullet points from the beginning which summarize the story. There are 9 negative comments and 10 positive comments that are included in the article. As that is a pretty balanced cover of the story, they get a 50% positive sentiment on Trust Vista. Overall, I believe that all 3 news sources provided fairly factual information, as they all had a pretty clear context and were moderately objective about the whole situation. The only one that was completely subjective was from The Root, which doesn't affect the analysis too much, as I mentioned it was meant to be more opinionated than the other 2.